On the 21st of May 2019, three detectors on two continents recorded the same thing at almost the same moment. It lasted about a tenth of a second. Not a rising note like the other signals, just a short, low thud, a bang. When astronomers unpicked what made it, they found two black holes that collided 7 billion years ago. And one of them was a size that our physics says cannot be built. So what makes a black hole impossible? And how did we detect one anyway? First, what the signal actually was. Gravitational waves are ripples in space-time itself, thrown off when very massive objects accelerate. When two black holes spiral together, they stretch and squeeze the space around them, and that distortion travels outward at the speed of light. By the time it reaches Earth, it changes the length of a 4-kilometer detector by less than the width of a proton. We built machines sensitive enough to notice. Most of those signals sweep upward in pitch, a chirp, as the two objects circle faster and faster before they meet. This one barely had time to sweep. It was over almost as soon as it began, which is a signature of something extremely heavy. The bigger the black holes, the lower and shorter the signal. When the collaboration worked out the numbers, they had one black hole of about 85 solar masses and another of about 66, merging into a single object of roughly 142 times the mass of the Sun. Add those two together and you get 151, not 142. The missing 9 solar masses did not go anywhere we can point to. They were converted into pure energy and radiated away as gravitational waves. 9 times the mass of our Sun, turned into ripples in space-time in a fraction of a second. For that brief moment, this single collision was radiating more power than every star in the observable universe combined. The 66 is unusual but tolerable. The 85 is the problem. To see why, you have to look at how a black hole of that size would have to be made. By a very large star running out of fuel and collapsing. That works, but up to a point. Past a certain mass, something in the star's core interrupts the process entirely. In an extremely massive star, the core gets so hot that the photons rattling around inside start converting into pairs of particles. An electron and its antimatter twin. Every time that happens, a photon that was helping hold the star up against gravity disappears. Do that on a large enough scale and the support collapses. The core contracts and the star detonates in what is called a pair-instability supernova. And these explosions are not partial. They're violent enough to blow the entire star apart, leaving nothing behind at all. No remnant, no black hole. That process carves out a gap. Below roughly 65 solar masses, a dying star can leave a black hole behind normally. Above about 120, the star is heavy enough that gravity wins anyway, and it collapses straight through. But in between, the pair-instability supernova destroys the star completely. So no black hole in that middle range should ever be made from a single star. Astronomers call it the pair-instability mass gap, and it's one of the more confident predictions in stellar physics. 85 solar masses sits close to the middle of that forbidden band. And this is not a marginal case. The collaboration calculated that the probability at least one of the two black holes in this collision falls inside the gap is 99%. So where does it come from? The leading answer is disarmingly simple. It was never made by a star at all. It was made by other black holes. In extremely crowded environments, the dense cores of star clusters, or the disks of gas swirling around supermassive black holes, Black holes can meet up, pair up, and merge. The product of that merger is a heavier black hole, which is still sitting in a crowded place and can merge again. Do that a couple of times and you can build something in the forbidden range without any star ever having to take it directly. Astronomers call these hierarchical mergers, and the objects they produce are second-generation black holes, made of black holes which were themselves made of stars. There's a second reason this collision mattered. That final 142 solar mass object landed in a range we'd almost never seen. We knew about stellar mass black holes, a few times the mass of the Sun. We knew about supermassive ones at the centers of galaxies, millions or billions of times heavier. In between was a desert. This was the first solid detection of an intermediate mass black hole, the missing rung of that ladder. Now the part that keeps this alive rather than settled. Astronomers have not simply accepted the impossible black hole. They've spent years testing whether the measurement means what it first appeared to mean. One group reanalyzed the same data and found it could also be explained by a very different pairing. A small black hole of about 16 solar masses falling into a much larger one of around 170. Same signal, completely different objects. And more recently, a study working through more than 50 merger events found something important. The mass gap does appear to be real. In the population as a whole, there's a genuine shortage of black holes in that range, with the lower edge sitting at roughly 44 solar masses. But within the same analyses, JW190521 came out looking most likely like a straddling binary. Two black holes on opposite sides of the gap, rather than one sitting inside it. So the story has quietly inverted. The event that appeared to break the mass gap has become part of the evidence that the gap exists, and its own membership of the Forbidden Zone is now the thing in doubt. It would be easy to read that as the anomaly evaporating. It's not quite that. What actually happened is better. A single strange detection forced the field to ask whether a predicted feature of the universe was real, and then gave us enough data to check. The gap survived the test. Our understanding of how the heaviest stars die held up. And the intermediate mass black hole is still there. Whatever the component masses turn out to be, something around 140 solar masses was produced by that collision, in a size range we'd spent decades failing to confirm. Every new observing run adds more events to the catalog, and each one sharpens the edges of the gap a little further. Heavier signals have already been recorded since. So here's where it leaves us. 7 billion years ago, in a part of the universe we will never visit, two black holes fell into each other and made something bigger. The ripple from that collision crossed the cosmos, passed through the Earth, and moved the mirror by a fraction of a proton's width. And from that, we've learned that there's a range of sizes nature refuses to build, and that something got around that restriction anyway. Whether it broke the rule or found a loophole is still genuinely being worked out. This channel is about exactly these moments. The ones where a single measurement makes an entire field check its own assumptions. If you want to be here as the catalog grows, subscribe and stick around. Until next time, clear skies.